Are you ready to go racing? We certainly are. Hello everyone and welcome to the Nürburgring. We're ready for race 2. And in fact, this is typical Eifel weather. Yesterday it was raining. This morning we had heavy fog. Now the sun is coming out. I think Maro Engel enjoys that as well because he's the man who's starting in pole position, your first pole this season. So Maro, how are you going to do it? How are you going to just end this race in a win, hopefully?
Well, I mean, obviously we're happy to start from the front. It's always the best place you can start for, and we hope we have a strong car. The car's been handling well all weekend, and hopefully we can bring it home at the end and take a win.
Hopefully. And now, looking at all these people around us, I mean, it's really packed here. What does that feel like? The atmosphere, how is that? Are you enjoying it?
No, it's always great. I love coming to the Nürburgring. It's a bit my second home. I mean, everyone knows I love the Nordschleife, but also the Grand Prix track, and just receive so much support. So it's great to have so much support from the fans and to see so many people in the grandstands. Yeah, it's great, great emotions, and hopefully we can put on a great show for them.
Best of luck, Maro. Thank you so much. And we're actually excited to have Sébastien Ogier here, 8-time rally world champion. And now the question is, we're delighted to have you here at the DTM. The question is, are you going to be able to get your 9th title this year?
Well, at the end, it's the target now. It wasn't at the start of the season, but it's run quite well so far. 6 races, 3 win and 3 second place. So now we are second in the championship, and now I have a chance to fight for it. So for sure, I will try my best.
Sure, we'll cross our fingers for you. But now being here at the DTM, what makes the DTM so special? I mean, you have a smile in your face. You enjoy it, don't you?
Yeah, it's always close racing. It's always very intense. And yeah, obviously my wife working here help that I'm often watching those races. But yeah, one day for sure I will be part of that show because it's always fun, very close between everybody, and nice tracks around the season. So it's a nice championship.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. I'll remind you later on. Hopefully we'll have you in the DTM one day as well. All right, Sébastien, enjoy the race. And now here are your commentators.
Thanks very much indeed, Verena. Great to hear from World Rally legend Sébastien Ogier there. Currently second, as he says, in the WRC for Toyota Gazoo Racing behind Thierry Neuville. 61 times a World Rally Championship winner, and hinting that he might fancy a go at DTM someday. So he's going to start the procedure when we get into the Start Your Engines board in a few minutes' time there. Arjen Nguyen, whose season just won't get going. Yesterday looked for a moment like he was on course for a really good result when he re-emerged in 5th place. But qualifying was a bit of a lottery earlier with the weather, and he's ended up 19th on the grid, which is where we're headed back to now to get some more from Verena.
And I'm here with Marco Wittmann, the man who's starting in P3 here at the Nürburgring. It's going to be a tough race no matter what, but at least it's not raining, so hopefully we'll see you on the podium later on.
I hope to. I mean, the weather looks definitely better than yesterday and today in the morning, so looks like a dry race. And yeah, I think the starting position is pretty good. Only 2 cars in front, and obviously we try to attack them, Maro and Ricardo, and let's see what we can do, but obviously hoping for a good race.
And what would you say is, despite the fact that the weather here is always unpredictable, I mean, the wind is picking up a little bit. Who knows what the weather gods have in store for us? But what would you say is most tricky here at the Nürburgring?
Well, usually it's the start, especially turn 1. It's quite tight, so you need to find a sweet spot and trying to stay out of troubles. That's really one of the key points of the race. Then obviously strategy can be an important key point in the race, to either undercut some guys or even overrun them with a different strategy. Let's see what we will play today. But I think those 2, start and then strategy with pit stops, will be the key points.
All right, best of luck, Marco. Thank you so much. And now let's head over to P2 because we've got Ricardo Feller in P2. He's always cool as ice. Look at him over there. He's already had 2 third places this season. So now starting in P2, surely he's going to try to improve that. And yeah, his main goal is, sorry to interrupt, don't mean to be rude, sorry. Hello there, Ricardo. How are you doing?
Good, and you?
Very good. You always seem so cool and calm. I mean, starting from P2, is there a bit of pressure, or are you just excited about the race?
Well, I'm not looking forward so much to the start because I have a fast BMW next to me, and also the Merc has a good torque, so it will be difficult coming to turn 1 today. But we try our best, and yeah, hope to finish on the podium in the end.
And the atmosphere here is phenomenal. I mean, so many people here. What do you love most about the Nürburgring, and what do you dread the most?
Well, this is such a special place, especially in terms of weather. And I really love to see that the fans are doing this, actually. They come here, it doesn't matter how much it rains, and they are still on the grandstand. So that's, that's super nice and gives us a good motivation for the race.
Well, best of luck. Have a superb motivation. Have a great race. And now we're going to see if we're going to grab Mirko Bortolotti, who's starting in P5. And in fact, this is pretty interesting because there's 1 point between him and Kelvin van der Linde. Kelvin is a championship leader. Mirko only 1 point behind him. So obviously he's going to be fighting so hard. And at this point, I mean, we haven't got that many more races to go. So he's just getting, I don't know what he's doing, but hopefully not getting into the car yet. Let me just grab Mirko. Mirko, just a quick question. Starting from P5, it's all about the championship. You've got Kelvin all the way in the back, which is always good, I guess, when it comes to the championship. What are you going to do? I mean, you've got quite a few, 4 in front of you. What are you going to do? Good strategy?
Always important, for sure. A good start, ideally. So let's see. You cannot predict what's going to happen turn 1. Let's try to have a clean start, ideally. If we can make up some places, it would be good. But we got some really fast guys coming from the back as well, so it's going to be a tough one for sure.
All right, well, best of luck, Mirko. Thank you so much. And now we are ready to get racing. So here are your commentators. Fasten your seatbelts and enjoy.
Thanks very much, Verena Riet down on the grid, catching up with some of the start drivers in the championship as we get set for race 2 and round 10 of 16 for the season. Quick news on some BOP changes overnight since yesterday. 3 of the brands have been lightened. So the McLarens are 20 kilograms lighter in terms of the success ballast that they had yesterday. The BMW's 15 kilograms lighter and the Porsche's 10 kilograms lighter. We didn't really get to see the effects of that in qualifying because we started with thick fog. We didn't think we were going to get underway on time at all. The fog suddenly lifted, but we were left with a very damp track. That started to dry, but it went out on wets. It started to dry, then just as people went on slicks, we had another little shower with a few minutes to go. And at the end, some were on slicks and some were on wets, and it was very finely poised. There was no quicker to be on the slick or the wet. Another lap, and those on slicks would have definitely shot up the order, and Marco Wittmann was one of those. He got up to 3rd. If he'd had another lap, he might have got pole position. Somebody else that would have liked another lap is Sheldon van der Linde. He was on course for being towards, if not on the pole position, the front row of the grid, but he just lost it at the BMW through the last corner. He set the absolute best first sector, personal best middle sector, but he went wide coming into the final turn through the gravel, and that was the end of him. And Jack Aitken is a long way down the grid in the Ferrari, and he was saying that they mistimed it. He wanted to be the last one over the line on slick tyres as the track was at its best, but they mistimed it. He didn't have time to get one more lap in, so he missed out. So the Ferraris are quite a long way down the order as well. Maro Engel then on pole position in the Mercedes, picking up 3 points for qualifying on pole position, and that closes him to within 19 points now of the championship lead. So in theory, he could walk away from the Nürburgring as the championship leader. A former Nürburgring 24-hour race winner is Maro Engel. Back in 2016, he won on the last lap of the 24-hour race, a phenomenal drive. The driver he overtook was Christian Hohenadel, who is now his team principal at Winward Racing. And as Maro said, he absolutely loves this place, whether it's on the Nordschleife or on this main, more modern facility, the Grand Prix circuit, of which we use the short version for DTM. Ricardo Feller is also one that's benefited from picking up points in qualifying. And don't ever let anybody tell you that qualifying points don't matter, because Ricardo Feller in qualifying on the front row of the grid picked up 2 points, and with that he moved up 2 places in the championship. He moved ahead of Jack Aitken and ahead of Arjun Maini, and he's up to 6th place in the championship now, looking for his first win since Zandvoort last year. Marco Wittmann then, with his best grid of the year, is going to start 3rd in the BMW. And Lukas Stoltz in 4th place, making his debut here at the Nürburgring, will be next to him. A better grid than he had yesterday for Thomas Preining, and Thomas was one of the stars of race 1, where he came from 15th to 7th and had a phenomenal battle with Nicky Tim. So hopefully we'll have more great battles like that. Thomas is a bit further up the order today, starting in 8th place. So the driver's ready, just 1 point between Kelvin van der Linde and Mirko Bortolotti, and they are starting right together on the grid as we get set for race 1. So we're here at the Nürburgring. There is the Nürburg Castle over in the distance at this wonderful part of the world in terms of the scenery, but it's volatile in terms of the weather. We've had everything but snow so far this weekend, but it's pretty bright, pretty dry now for sure. 16 degrees. There are some greyish clouds, though, in the distance, so you never quite know what's going to happen here. We're near the village of Nürburg. It's only got 170-odd inhabitants in the village. We're in the Eifel Mountains in the west part of Germany. The mountains span all the way across to the east part of Belgium, and, of course, we're attached to the famous 20.8-kilometre Nordschleife. But this venue, built in the early 1980s, the Grand Prix track, is what we are focused on, and the version that we're using here today is the short version, the sprint track, 3.6 kilometres long, around 11 turns anti-clockwise. But in the past, the DTM has come here and raced around the Green Howlers. The three-time Formula One world champion Jackie Stewart named it because of a former Grand Prix track, and Jackie was also a three-time winner of the German Grand Prix around this circuit. But for a period between the late 1980s and the early 1990s, the DTM used to race around that phenomenal circuit, which has changed many times over the years and dates all the way back to 1927. The original track comprised 174 bends, and the DTM drivers had to try and negotiate their way around there in the period from 1988 to 1993. Who knows, maybe we'll go back on the Nordschleife one day. Lots of these drivers have experience of it from racing in the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Mentioned Maro Engel, another one that's been a Nürburgring winner on more than one occasion, a double winner, as Kelvin van der Linde, the championship leader, is in a good position here. But Maro Engel and Ricardo Feller have got the front row of the grid, with Marco Wittmann and Lucas Stoltz on row 2. Then it's Bortolotti and van der Linde together again, like they were yesterday. Preining and Sheldon van der Linde, 2 to watch, I reckon, from 7th and 8th. Arjun Maini and Lucas Auer complete the top 10. Front Pereira qualified 5th, but has a 5-place grid penalty. He starts with René Rast. Powell and Engstler, the young guns, next up. Jack Aitken and Nicky Tim, a fast 8th row of the grid. Thierry Vermeulen and Clement Schmidt on his 34th birthday today are next, with Anjan Guven, worst grid of the year for the Turkish driver, in 19th, and Ben Durr for company starting in 20th place. Yeah, Frank Pereira, one of several drivers investigated for blocking during qualifying. He was looked at twice, but one of them he got pinged for, so he did qualify 5th, but for holding up Clement Schmidt, he's been demoted down to 10th place on the grid. So it seems that the top 2 of the championship are going to be joined at the hip for the rest of the season. They've been together on the grid twice now, yesterday on the front row, and today they are starting in 5th and 6th positions on the 3rd row of the grid. Every single point counts in this championship, with just 3 weekends to come after the Nürburgring. My name's Chris Hartley. I'm in the commentary box, ready to talk you through another 1 hour plus 1 lap race of sheer fascination in DTM this 40th anniversary season. And alongside me in the box, it's a very good afternoon to Brian Oliver.
Good afternoon, Chris. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. The Nürburgring never fails to entertain. Interesting in the pre-race interviews, a lot of the drivers saying, I need to survive turn 1. We had a Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany race this morning, and so many cars went straight on at turn 1 as the race progressed. Very experienced drivers at that. It is a tricky corner at the best of times. It's a bit greasy out there still after all the rain we had yesterday. That sharp right-hand turn, a little bit downhill. It's a bit bumpy under braking there as well. Surviving the first corner is going to be the first trick of the race this afternoon.
There is Sébastien Ogier then to hold aloft the Start Your Engines board to the right of the pitch. That's his wife, Andrea Kaiser, who's a TV presenter for the DTM here in Germany. So Sebastian often actually hands the trophies out at the end of races. And he holds aboard the Start Your Engines board. That clears the grid, and there you can see from that camera angle, it's a slightly downhill run into turn 1, and when you get to turn 1, it drops further away, but then you climb up a little bit into turn 2. It's a bit more undulating than it looks on the TV pictures, this circuit. Maro Engel then is stealthily sneaking his way into this championship fight, isn't he, Brian? And a great chance here to get his first win of the season, but also Mercedes' first win of 2024.
Yes, he's stood on the podium 4 times, but he hasn't experienced the middle step this year. But as you say, the stealth operation, Maro Engel has just been creeping up the order in the background, but it's so close between Mirko Bortolotti and Kelvin van der Linde. Every last point counts here in the DTM, and nobody's going to be giving up places without a fight.
No, and remember, success ballast as well for the top 3. So Kelvin van der Linde, as the winner yesterday, has 20 kilograms of extra weight on his car for finishing first in race 1. And for finishing second, Mirko Bortolotti has another 10 kilograms on his car. The driver that finished third is the driver on pole, Maro Engel. He's got 5 kilograms on board. It doesn't sound a lot, but when we had this morning the top 2 separated by 7 thousandths of a second in qualifying, then it just goes to show less than 1,000th of a second per corner can be the difference between being on pole and not being on pole. Then even a few kilograms, Brian, can make a difference.
Yes, every last thousandth counts. We've had every kind of weather here this weekend. We've had hot sunshine, we've had rain, we've had fog. We haven't had snow yet, but who knows, the night is young. But this circuit now looking dry. It's a bit greasy off the racing line, but this formation lap is critical to get the heat into the tyres and into the brakes so that you have the grip into that all-important turn 1.
So the Mercedes of Maro Engel, 6.3 litre V8 engine. That's one of the naturally aspirated cars. Half of them are naturally aspirated, half of them are turbos. So the turbos are the Ferraris, which is the V6 engine, the BMWs, which is the 3 litre straight 6, 590 brake horsepower engine, and the McLaren is turbocharged as well. But unfortunately, one of them has pulled off the circuit, and what a terrible way to celebrate your birthday. Had troubles with the car yesterday, and Clement Schmidt, on his 34th birthday in that 720 brake horsepower McLaren, has got technical issues. He's not even, I'm afraid, going to get to start the race.
Oh, that's such a shame. A real struggle, as you say. Not the way to celebrate your birthday. He's up at turn 5. He's out of the car. His weekend is over.
So Maro Engel will lead them round for the rolling start, coming up the hill into the Vidal chicane, which is a place where you can overtake, but also a place on the exit where you've got to be careful of track limits. So lots of warnings so far the weekend in dry conditions. We're going to have a 60-minute plus 1 lap race. The mandatory pit stop between the 20th and 40th minute of the race. And Maro Engel and Ricardo Feller on the front row of the grid. Mercedes and Audi, BMW and Mercedes just behind, with Marco Wittmann and Luca Stoltz, and the championship front 2 on the 3rd row of the grid. Chris Hartley and Brian Oliver then here to talk you through round 10 of DTM 2024 as they come past the commentary box window, creeping towards the line. The red lights are on. They go out now, and we are underway, and it's a very good start for Maro Engel. He leads the charge down towards this first gear corner, but Marco Wittmann's made a good start. He's at the inside of Ricardo Feller, trying to come around the outside of everybody is Sheldon van der Linde. Marco Wittmann has got second. Van der Linde around the outside, and there's a spin there for Lucas Stoltz, from the second row of the grid from contact. He'll get going again, but he'll be right at the back of the field. Ricardo Feller trying to get back at the inside of Marco Wittmann into turns 2 and 3. He's got the inside line, and through turn 3 he gets back through. But look, what a start from Sheldon van der Linde, side by side and making contact with fellow former champion Marco Wittmann. This is just behind them with Mirko Bortolotti. Down the inside, holding on to the place for now, is Marco Wittmann in the green machine, but around the outside of it with a left-hander coming up is Sheldon van der Linde, trying to squeeze through. BMWs together, teammates together. Sheldon goes through. He's had a disappointing weekend so far. Trouble with the car in qualifying. Didn't really make any progress yesterday. He's made great progress at the start of this race. What a start for the 2022 champion to get himself up to 3rd place. He's not really involved in the championship fight. Well, maybe he will be if he starts to get some results like this, but he's got to get it done yet. Looking in the background, Thomas Preining is about to pounce at the inside of René Rast as well. They've thrown over the curbs. These two have had some good battles in the last couple of years. They're still side by side. I think Rast has got the inside line in the blue BMW, but around the outside of him comes Thomas Preining. So 6th place then for Preining at the end of the first lap of the race. But up front, no troubles for Maro Engel. He leads. Ricardo Feller in 2nd, Sheldon van der Linde 3rd. Marco Wittmann looked for all the world as though he's going to be 2nd through those first couple of corners, but he's ended up dropping back to 4th place.
What's an audacious move from Sheldon van der Linde as Jack Aitken takes a look on the inside into turn 1. Van der Linde going, I believe, 4 wide into turn 1. So much for tiptoeing it around the first corner, but looking very rapid. Now he sets about Ricardo Feller, but Jack Aitken behind Kelvin van der Linde, challenging for position on the inside.
It was a wide moment for the green BMW of Marco Wittmann in the corner of that camera shot. So he was coming under fire from Mirko Bortolotti as they went through turn 4. Again, side by side, 2 champions here. Priding there in the Porsche, the defending champion, the 3-time champion, René Rast, you ride on board with now. He's had 3 wins in the DTM around the Nürburgring in 2018 and 2019. And he's looking for his 2nd win of the year. It's been a disappointing weekend so far. 12th on the grid yesterday, 11th in the race, 12th on the grid today. But Rast has also had a pretty good start, hasn't he? Up to 7th place. Pryning moving forwards as well to 6th. And Arjun Mani's made up ground. He's there right behind them in 8th place. Kelvin van der Linde, though, who you ride on board with now, dropping back at that opening lap and a half from 7th down to 12th place. Let's hear from him now.
Man, they're really fighting me hard at the back here, bro. Like, fucking hell.
Copy, I see, stay cool, all good.
Yeah, a slightly more fraught opening radio message than we had yesterday. The first message at this stage yesterday was Kelvin Miles in front saying everything's good, car's good, I'm relaxed, but he's in trouble here in this race. And look at this, in trouble is Fella, because Sheldon van der Linde on the attack. Start line incidents, lap 1 incidents being investigated by the officials. Aitken under investigation. Rast as well as Sheldon van der Linde almost, and now does get alongside the Audi of Ricardo Fella. He's on a mission here, everybody. Sheldon van der Linde, welcome to Nürburgring 2024. He gets at the inside, but there was contact with the right rear BMW tyre, and I hope that hasn't damaged it, because as he came through on the Audi, there was a bit of contact there, Brian.
Yeah, a little bit of a kiss as he squeezed his way through, elbows out as far as they would go. We saw Lucas Stoltz spinning at the start of the race. The race stewards believe it was Kelvin van der Linde that was involved in that spin. That is under investigation, as well as the 3 false starts that we've had displayed on our screens.
Yeah, one of which is for Jack Aitken, who is trying to come down from a lowly grid position. He's made some ground up. And Vermeulen and his teammate, the 13th and 14th in the 2 Ferraris at the moment. What about ING? Oh, no, that off the road is Nicky Tim with a problem. And is that damage or is it just a technical issue? But Nicky Tim pulls off the circuit after a feisty drive yesterday through to 8th place. Great battle with Thomas Pryning, and that was after a spin as well, following contact with Ioan Gu. And it's just slowed, it's just stopped. And that's kind of reminiscent of the first few rounds of the championship for Nicky Tim. He had some reliability issues for the first few events, didn't he? And then it all came good at the Norris Ring with that first victory a few weeks ago.
I wonder if that's going to bring out a, well, probably a full course yellow, because he's at the side of turn 6 as we look at that little contact again. But they're going to need to move that car. You see the smoke coming from the Lamborghini, so clearly some big mechanical issues. But they're going to need to move that car, so they'll need to do it under full course yellow. It's probably not the time to be working on it, I think, Nicky. Safety car is out, so the field going to be brought back into single file. No overtaking while they move that car.
Team's after a toolbox. He's going to fix it himself, I think, while he's out there, or try to. So that's terrible news for Maro Engel, because he'd got a bit of an advantage. Not much of one, but he built up nearly a second's advantage. And Sheldon van der Linde is going to be right with him now. And Sheldon looks like he's interested in absolutely nothing but winning this race, the way he's been driving at the start of this one. He's come from 9th on the grid to 2nd in the opening laps. He's really been hustling that Schubert BMW. So the 2022 champion looking for his first win of the year. And then we got Ricardo Fella in 3rd, Marco Wittmann in 4th, Mirko Bortolotti in 5th, René Rast in 6th. So the lightening of the cars has made a big difference in terms of BMWs, hasn't it? Because they struggled in qualifying and practice the BMWs in the dry earlier in the weekend. But they're now running in 2nd and 4th and 6th. And if one of them can win, Brian, it'll be a landmark victory.
It certainly will. It will be the 100th victory for BMW in the DTM. They might celebrate it with more than one BMW on the podium, the way they are going at the moment. So Sheldon van der Linde in that 2nd place, Wittmann in 4th, René Rast in 6th. So looking very, very rapid. Maro Engel will be very aware of that. Ricardo Fella down into that 3rd place, so he's not done yet. We'll have another look at the start of this race.
No further action for Jack Aitken on the full start, so that's good news for the British driver and Emil Frey Racing, as we get that replay of that very good start initially for Marco Wittmann. Here it looks like the green BMW is going to get 2nd place, but look, around the outside, just throwing caution to the wind, was Sheldon van der Linde. There was the contact with Luca Stoltz, and yeah, it was contact with Kelvin van der Linde, wasn't it, on his right rear corner that sent him around. A real shame for Luca, because he'd qualified really well in 4th place. He's down to 17th. The only good news is he's got them all backlined in front of him now, thanks to the safety car. Here's a replay of the contact. He kind of got sandwiched between the two Audis, didn't he, actually? Because he was right on the tail of Ricardo Feller, Lucas Stoltz. Then he had Kelvin van der Linde behind him. But it's a case, I think, of everybody squeezing together and in a very tight first corner. As they said before the race, as they almost predicted, it's almost impossible to get through there at the start of a race without some kind of contact.
Yes, and we saw them 3-4 abreast. Now you can see Sheldon van der Linde hanging the back end out, a little bit of contact there as well. This was a perspective from René Rast. He was ready to get stuck into the action. He took to the wide outside into turn 1 on the outside of Lucas Auer. You can see fellow BMW driver up ahead of him, and he saw to the side of him Lucas Stoltz going spinning, but René Rast had a grandstand view of that, as indeed did Thomas Preining. A big gap on the inside. You'd have been a little tempted by that, and there was Kelvin van der Linde and Lucas Stoltz getting together out of turn 1, up the hill towards turn 2. Thomas Preining pulled alongside the former champion of Sheldon van der Linde, but didn't have the grunt to make anything stick. Lots of great angles here. There again, Lucas Stoltz would be quite happy if we didn't keep looking at this, because that's going to be a reminder of him spinning around to the back of the pack after such a strong qualifying. And this is the view from Kelvin van der Linde, so this is significant. Into turn 1, and you can see Sheldon on the outside, and well, he did get sandwiched a little bit with the Lamborghini, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. It was just all concertinaing up, wasn't it? So, yeah, tricky. I think the officials are looking at that incident, are they, with Kelvin van der Linde?
Yeah, they are.
They are looking at it, but no action's been taken as yet. So they're looking at it in the stewarding room. They're super slow-mo over the chicane, absolutely sideways and almost on 2 wheels for Sheldon van der Linde. René Rast getting very tight to the apex there, and trying to fend off the charging Thomas Preining. Safety car coming in on this lap. They're just about to come up to turn 6, so in less than half a lap's time, we'll be getting back underway. Now, quick calculations. If it stays like this, Maro Engel's going to get 25 points for the win. Mirko Bortolotti's going to get 11 for 5th, and Kelvin van der Linde is back in 11th place, will get 5 points. It would mean that Mirko Bortolotti would be the championship leader on 137. Up to 2nd would go Maro Engel on 133, and Kelvin van der Linde would drop to 3rd on 132. And he'd have 5 points between all 3 of them with 3 rounds to go. Try and predict this season. Good luck, everybody. Safety car then about to peel in. Maro Engel about to lead the charge. And if I was Maro Engel, I'd look in the mirrors and be slightly worried about that big red BMW breathing down my neck, because Sheldon van der Linde is, as they say, on a mission today. Here we go. Hold on, everybody. We are about to charge back up to full speed with these cars over 550 brake horsepower, over 700 in some cases, about to be unleashed as the race gets back up to full speed. Over the start-finish line they go, down towards turn 1 of the Yokohama S, and the BMW going with the Mercedes, but there's no opportunity to get through yet. Maro Engel, of course, looking for his first win of the season as well. Sheldon van der Linde looking for his first win since the Norris Ring last year, more than a year ago, for the 2022 champion. Ricardo Feller can't quite stay with them on the restart. He's 3rd, then Wittmann, then Bortolotti, then Rast, Preining and Meine. And there's Luca Engstler getting very close to Kelvin van der Linde as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. Luca in the blue and white Liqui Moly backed car run by Gottfried Grasser's team, the Austrian team Grasser Racing, and the onboard camera there looking back at him was on board with Kelvin van der Linde. Max Powell has said they've had an issue with the car all weekend, which has put them off the pace, but they've figured it out overnight, so much better qualifying in a very random qualifying session this morning on a drying track. But Max Powell felt like he was in a better position today, so watch for the 2023 Nürburgring race winner in that blue Powell Motorsport Lamborghini, the number 71 car. He's up to 12th place.
The steward's investigation into that first incident on lap 1, turn 1 of the race, has expanded to now include Lucas Auer, so the stewards have added him to the list of suspects. Jack Aitken is a suspect to try and make a move past Max Powell, but Max Powell's having none of it. The winner at this event, this time last year in the rain, but now the gap on the inside into turn 11. The 2 cars side by side. It's going to be a drag race out along past the pits. Luca Engstler going very wide just up ahead of them, throwing some gravel in the face of Jack Aitken, but but now 3 abreast as they head towards turn 1. Jack Aitken on the inside and Luca Engstler the sandwich in the middle, but he's squeezed out. Look at Max Powell round the outside into turn 1. Last and late breakers, but his advantage, Jack Aitken. What a scrap into turn 1.
It's a Ferrari Lamborghini quartet all scrapping away. Vermeulen trying to get in on the action as well. Aitken to the front of that group from Powell, and it's brought everybody else onto their case as well, hasn't it? Including Lucas Auer is now drawing alongside Luca Engstler as they come out of turn 4. They both run off the road. The inside line for the hairpin coming up will belong to the yellow Mercedes of the 2022 Championship runner-up. He dives down the inside. Lucas Auer goes a bit deep into the corner. You got Andrew Guin coming in the mix as well in the green Porsche. Left-hander coming up. That should just about favour the Mercedes. Engstler doesn't think so. He keeps his foot buried firmly on the accelerator and holds onto the position. And here comes Andrew Guin trying to follow through the Lamborghini and block out then Auer, who's set wide and into the gravel trap. That will lose momentum and traction, which is key because you've got an uphill battle. And Lucas Stoltz is going to get involved as well now. So the two Mercedes together. Lucas Stoltz powers past up the hill. That was all because of the lost momentum for Lucas Auer, whose day is just not working out after a good 4th place finish yesterday. Gets hustled down behind Lucas Stoltz, and he got Ben Durr, the sole remaining McLaren, trying to get in on the action now as well. And all of them are fighting for the tail end of the championship points as the top 2 are absolutely together as they go heading into turn 1. The BMW feigning a move down the inside of the Mercedes. He draws alongside Maro Engel and Sheldon van der Linde trying to go around the outside now. That's not going to work. Maybe he'll set a move up for turn 4 because this is where he's been really quick. He'll just throw it through the left-right sequence at turns 3 and 4 and try to dive down the inside of Maro Engel when they get to the hairpin at turn 5. The right-hander, which comes up next. They accelerate up to 200 kilometres an hour at this part of the course. 4th gear, slow down to 2nd, slow down to 85 kilometres an hour and go nose to tail through there. But the BMW for now can't find a way through.
I think the BMW is the tool for the job as we look back from Maro Engel, because René Rast in the identical time has set the fastest lap of the race of 1:27.204. He's down in 6th place at the moment and pushing forwards, but all 3 of the BMWs are very, very quick. And Maro Engel having to withhold an awful lot of pressure from Sheldon van der Linde just behind. The 2 cars have broken clear of Ricardo Feller a bit, but Maro Engel, a lot of pressure on. His mirror's absolutely full of BMW.
By moving up a place into 10th position, Kelvin van der Linde is going to get another point, so 6 points, which means, as it stands, he'll be dead level on points with Maro Engel, 133 each, tied for 2nd, but Kelvin will be 2nd because he's got more race wins. Even if Maro wins this race, this will be his 1st of the season. Kelvin's had 2, and Kelvin's brother Sheldon van der Linde has had none. He wants some, he wants a win. So does Maro Engel. They send each other so deep into the corner, onto the grass, onto the curbs. Here comes Sheldon van der Linde. He's got the inside into turn 2. He dives past to Maro Engel. Maro carries the momentum around the corner, though. He'll have the inside line if he can stay there for the right-hander at turn 4, but he's blocked out. There's contact between them. Maro Engel digs his heels in. You are not coming past, he said. I want this win. This is mine today, and I need the championship points. And they're still side by side, and Ricardo Feller has caught them up now as well. He's trying to get in between them in the Audi. Fantastic, 3 of them together make it 4. Marco Wittmann getting stuck in as well in the BMW just behind the green machine in 4th place. Wow, what great defensive driving that was from Maro Engel. He just would not give in.
And now Marco Wittmann challenging to the inside of Ricardo Feller. How good is this? Look at them all. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all in a queue. Marco Wittmann looking again on the inside of Ricardo Feller. The BMW looking mighty. Marco Wittmann swapping to the other line, but he's got Mirko Bortolotti in the background who will fill the gap if one appears, but René Rast also man on a mission. Jack Aitken is the new fastest car on the track, so don't discount Jack Aitken. He's down in 11th, but he's pushing forwards as well. But you know there is going to be another challenge for the lead.
Right, let's hear from Sheldon van der Linde on team radio.
Very dirty, man. Forcing me offline. I was completely next to him. Come on. Penalty left.
Yes, mate, copy that. We saw it, it was on the live feed, but don't push too hard on it. We have way more pace, and we have the good tire left, so we will get them on strategy. Keep pushing.
had a feeling that Sheldon might be about to complain on the radio about that little bit of rubbing they had, to be fair. But both of them were off the track completely, weren't they, as they came out of turn one. Not fair, he says. Come on, everybody have a look at that. He's talking to the team, but he's also knowing that the stewards are listening and suggesting that maybe a penalty lap might need to be looked at. But I don't know.
I enjoyed it. I very much enjoyed it. And he did tell us, well, the team told us, they've got the best tyres yet to come, and they are much faster. So a bit of a clue there, I think.
It's between Kelvin van der Linde, Lucas Stoltz being looked at from turn one. Lucas Auer, as you said, involved in that one as well, but no further action, which is a relief to the driver, well, who was leading the championship coming into the race, but might not be coming out of the race. Let's see, long way to go. On board with Thomas Preining there in 7th place, and he's getting onto the tail still of René Rast, but they've both reeled in Mirko Bortolotti, haven't they? René Rast in the blue shoe, but BMW has a little look at the inside into the final turn. Not really an overtaking spot, that. So René gets on the gas. Mirko Bortolotti, a winner here last year in dry conditions in that Lamborghini on race one. We never got to take part in race two because of technical problems with the car, as the top two once again pull away from 3rd and 4th there. And look at this, 5th and 6th, Bortolotti and Rast. Rast gets gives a little nudge to Bortolotti, sends him deep into the corner. The Italian will not like that very much. You're on board with Mirko now. He's got the inside line for turns 2 and 3. He's about to lose his wing mirror if he's not careful. He's close enough to have a conversation with René Rast about track limits and things like that. But René Rast's got the inside line now and might draw alongside. Let's get the radio.
Please avoid the north of me when I'm fighting for position. If you can, it's all good.
Yeah, maybe don't mention stuff about engineering and pit stops while I'm trying to drive the car. I've got René Rast 2 inches from my right-hand side, but René has found a way through, and now Thomas Preining is going to try and do the same. Preining, the defending champion, who moved up to 5th in the points yesterday, dives past as well, and Bortolotti has now lost 2 places and drops down from 5th place to 7th, but René Rast has been told to give the position back. And just like yesterday with Thomas Preining, who was told to give a position back to Thierry Vermeulen after contact on the way through, René Rast is going to have to let 2 cars pass to do that. So this rule is going to benefit Preining this time around. There he waves him through, got to let you through to let Bortolotti through. Arjun Maidi thinks, can I sneak through as well in the Mercedes? Let's find out. This could be tricky down at turn 1, Brian.
Oh, this is going to sting, isn't it? René Rast is on the team radio to Schubert Motorsport.
Okay, we have to drop back behind 92 for incorrect overtaking.
Well, he didn't put up an argument about it, did he? Oh, maybe he did.
Yeah, did. Yeah.
Delayed argument.
Oh dear. So goes forward 2, goes forward 1, goes back 2. Oh no, Arjun Maidi with a spin. Arjun has been in the points in every single race this season. Smoke coming from the car. Can he get it fired back up? He's pointing in exactly the wrong direction. He's bang in the middle of the track there. It's on the exit to turn 2. Come on, get going. Can it get going? And what happened? He went wide there. He's already got some smoke coming from the car, hasn't he?
Isn't it?
And dives down the inside there, or tries to dive down the inside. Doesn't make contact. I think he's spun on his own fluid there, hasn't he?
Yeah, it looked like fluid coming from the car, and he had no traction at all, did he? That smoke, bit of a telltale sign. So this is a view of it again, and just see the back just going on the car, the smoke pouring from it, and it doesn't look good for the Mercedes, does it? And good job by Jack Aitken. Was that just behind him to do a bit of avoidance? The pit window is going to be postponed because clearly they'll almost certainly, well, we've got a safety car out, so the field is going to be closed up yet again, like it needed any more closing up, but the safety car is out. It means the pit window will be a little bit later because, of course, we don't want teams pitting under the safety car because that would really mess things up.
Yeah, you these days can't make your mandatory pit stop when there's a safety car or a full course. Yeah, you can come in the pits by all means, but you'll have to do it again for the stop. Arjun Maidi signalling to the marshals, come on, get over here with the fire extinguisher, I think. He wants to make sure there's no further damage to that car internally. So Arjun there on the inside of the track as the cars come past. And it's been a tough weekend for Arjun. He's had such a good season up to this point. He'd been in the, until today, the points in every single race of the season this year, and he was 5th in the championship coming into the weekend. He dropped to 7th after qualifying this morning, but he, I'm afraid, for the first time this year, is not going to score points. He's left a trail of fluid on the track as well in the middle of the line, so the marshals will have to clear that up with the chemical powders. So a chance just to catch a breath here for the fans and for us.
Yes.
What's been a frantic start to the race. The pit window postponed and everybody bunched together. Maro Engel the leader. Sheldon van der Linde though, that fan will be pleased, the South African fan, because he's had a brilliant drive so far from 9th to 2nd. 3rd place is Fella, 4th is Wittmann, 5th is Preining, 6th is Bortolotti, 7th Rast, Pereira 8th, Kelvin van der Linde 9th and Jack Aitken up to 10th.
I'm still reeling after that battle for the lead. At one point, there were 6 cars fighting for it, wasn't there? That was really, really exciting. We had 3 separate battles at the front, all with BMWs chasing the car immediately in front of them. And that is going to resume in a few minutes. Having a look again into turn 1, that was Rene Rast, a little nudge on Mirko Bortolotti, and that's why he was asked to give the position back. A bit of damage there as well, the bodywork flying, but just into turn 1, maybe Bortolotti, to remind you, he's carrying a bit of extra weight, success penalty, an extra 10 kilos, but the BMW, well, it may have lost a bit of weight with the bodywork falling off that.
Find our onboard camera, please, Rene. Now, you thought it was close before. Now, with Bortolotti dropping to 6th, van der Linde rising to 9th, now the point situation is this. Mirko Bortolotti, 136 points. Kelvin van der Linde, 134 points. And Maro Engel, 133 points. So 3 points between the top 3 in the championship with 3 weekends to go. If it were to stay like this, we'd be pretty brave to go down the bookies now and put money on the order staying exactly like this in a DTM race, particularly when they're all bunched up behind the safety car, ready for a restart, which is going to be fairly imminent, I think. Maybe not on this lap or the end of this lap, but maybe the one after.
Get the feeling this championship is probably going to go down to the last corner of the last lap of the last race, like it normally does, actually. This is why we love the DTM, and the BOP complainers out there, take a look. This is how level the field is, and this is why we love DTM.
Safety car is coming in on this lap, so well done to the marshals. They've got that car recovered. They've also dealt with the spilt fluid very effectively indeed. Our brilliant volunteer marshals all the way around the circuit, to whom we must pay enormous credit for their work, giving up their weekends in sometimes, as we've seen this weekend, tricky weather conditions. Right, the safety car will peel in when it comes out of the chicane and heads just before turn 11, the final turn. And Maro Engel will pull the trigger, ready for the restart, waiting for news on when the pit window will open. That's been postponed because of this safety car. We'll find out exactly, I think, very shortly after the restart when that is going to be. And now it's a case of, do you go in the pits early or probably leave it a bit later, because if they're all lined up in front of you, an opportunity to pick up some places here. I doubt people are going to go into the pits as soon as it opens. Let's find out. On board with the race leader, Maro Engel, about to fire this race back up to full speed for the 2nd time, and he's absolutely nailed the exit to turn 11. Look, he has left Sheldon van der Linde behind by about 3 car lengths, using all of his experience, Maro Engel, to take that Mercedes into turn 1 without too much pressure. What about the other BMW, though? Wittmann getting close to the tail of Ricardo Fella, and then Preining coming in the action as well. Rene Rast wants to get past Bortolotti again, and he's drawing alongside him coming out of turn 1 as the blue BMW found a gap. No is the answer. Bortolotti has kept him behind. And then got front Pereira coming in on the action on his 2nd cameo of the season after his standing in for Christian Engelhardt at the Norris Ring. He's done it again this weekend. He's got a podium out of it as well so far this weekend. Remember, Front was quick enough to qualify 5th, flashing the headlights in the blue Schubert BMW. There's this man, Rene Rast, trying to unnerve Mirko Bortolotti. That's not going to work. Mirko is a very cool customer.
Pit window opening at 3 minutes to 2 local time as we listen to Rene Rast, who's on the team radio again.
He keeps moving on the braking.
Copy, was clearly TV.
So Rene Rast saying Mirko Bortolotti is moving under braking, which, if that's the case, he's not allowed. So engineer says, yep, it's all on TV. Everybody's aware of it. Car 71 under investigation. That's Max Powell for overtaking under the safety car. So he jumped the gun a bit early, maybe on the restart. As Rene Rast goes for it again. No, he doesn't, because Mirko Bortolotti is peeled right to go to the pit lane. So some are pitting early. Interesting choice. Bortolotti is one of them, and van der Linde and Thomas Preining, and that's Kelvin van der Linde as well. So 2 of the top 3 in the championship have come into the pits all together. No pressure then on the teams to get these cars turned around in, if they can, less than 7.5 seconds if they do a really good job, like Winwood did yesterday for Maro Engel. 6.4 seconds was the quickest that we've had so far this weekend.
Nice new set of sticker tyres waiting for max power. We already know that the better rubber is about to go on the Sheldon van der Linde car, because they told us that on the team radio. They'll want to get him out on some open track and try and do the undercut on Maro Engel. So he'll be out there now, hopefully some open track in front of him, and he can put in some hot laps. Behind him, Thomas Preining's got a bit of damage.
And Kelvin van der Linde has got ahead of Mirko Bortolotti. That's big for the championship. So great job by the AB Sportsline team. But you're right, a little bit of damage to the left rear corner of that Porsche, which is carrying. So there, Kelvin van der Linde ahead of Mirko Bortolotti, looking like he's going to take points away from him rather than give him points, because he was quite a few positions back after that first lap of the race. So good stop, great stop from the AB Sportsline team, and it shows what a difference it can make. He was stationary for exactly 7 seconds and 9.2 seconds for SSR Performance, so it wasn't a great pit stop, was it, for the crew in Bortolotti? And in comes Maro Engel, and in comes Ricardo Feller then. The top two now coming into the pits. And we've got Kelvin van der Linde just coming out of turn 6, Bortolotti behind him. The first of the pit stoppers is Sheldon van der Linde. He's just coming up to turn 8. Do you know what? I reckon he's in a good place here to get the net lead of the race. He's far enough around the lap, I reckon, to be able to jump into effectively the lead of the race. And Preining might be going with him. They're just coming up to the chicane. Let's find out. Feller is released. Engel is released as well. We've got McLaren Ben Durin as well. Engel is going to be coming out of the pits first, but coming out of the last corner already is the BMW of Sheldon van der Linde. Remember, though, he's got his tyres a little bit up to temperature, only a lap, though, but he's going to come after them. He's weaving around trying to keep heating the tyres. So Engel and Feller are the first of the pit stoppers, but here comes Sheldon van der Linde. I mean, Feller is ahead of him, but for how long? Because Sheldon should be able to gobble him up in the next half a lap and get at least one of those positions back. But actually, Winwood have done a really good pit stop there for Maro Engel. That was 7.0 seconds as well. And through comes on warmer tyres Sheldon van der Linde to a net second place. But I thought he might be far enough round to have gained an advantage. Actually, it looks like he's lost out of it, Sheldon van der Linde. His pit stop time was also very good, 7 seconds dead. So you've got to put that down to Maro Engel, and a better in-lap and a better out-lap.
Yeah, I think Sheldon van der Linde probably forced Maro Engel's hand and forced him to pit early, well, the team Winwood to pit early, because he knew that Sheldon out on the track as Thomas Preining now ducks to the inside of Ricardo Feller, but he knew that Sheldon van der Linde out on open track would potentially close up that gap. But as you say, quite the opposite has happened. Now Thomas Preining on the inside, Ricardo Feller racing side by side once again. That is great stuff into the chicane. And Thomas Preining squeezing the Porsche in front. Feller trying to come back. Meanwhile, Rene Rast is into the pits as well.
Right around the outside from Preining, wasn't it? He's nothing if not brave, Thomas Preining. Oh, funky camera work. Off goes Rene Rast then. So he's going to come out in and around Sheldon van der Linde, isn't he? Engel should just creep past him into turn 1. You got Frank Pereira in the mix as well. Look, he comes out behind Sheldon van der Linde, still side by side. Oh no! A spin for Maro Engel, who was effectively the race leader on the cold tyres. Almost going into him as he slams on the brakes is Frank Pereira in the Lamborghini. But that is disaster. So Rast through, and Sheldon van der Linde on the warmer tyre is about to dive up the inside to effectively become the race leader, the net leader, once all the others have made their pit stops. Rast still trying to get up to speed, has gone wide as well. And I think he's going to lose a place to Maro Engel. What happened? Was there contact? Yes. There was contact. Engel tried to carry the speed around the outside. Rast clipped his right rear corner. Both of them will complain about the other one, but the fact is, 2 cars did not fit into one. Let's hear what Rene Rast thought of that.
Man, you can't do it. I don't cold drive. What should I do? I can't fuck.
Yeah, Rene's saying, I've got cold tyres, I can't turn in, I understeer, what am I supposed to do? But you totally understand that Maro Engel was also keen to carry that speed and stay around the outside. He didn't want to get stuck behind Rene Rast for even one corner. So Sheldon van der Linde is effectively the leader. Engel got going again quickly, so he's in front of Preining still. They're coming out of the last corner. Where is Marco Wittmann going to fit into all of this? Big Marco on the gas. He's going to come out in front of Sheldon van der Linde, but he's going to have to defend at some point in this lap because he's on cold, slippery tyres, which take the best part of a lap to get going. Going past the commentary box, Kelvin van der Linde and Ricardo Feller. There they are, nose to tail, the two AB Sportsline teammates. Van der Linde has got the championship to think about. Feller will think, well, I'm not out of the championship running yet either. So these two fighting together. Kelvin van der Linde just about managing to stay ahead of his teammate Ricardo Feller, but he's got ahead of him and it's going well. And that's René Rast coming in with damage to that front left, puncture potentially. The front left damage for sure has come from that contact with Maro Engel. Meanwhile, Sheldon van der Linde has got past Marco Wittmann as Marco gets his tyres up to temperature. But, Brian, it could be a BMW 1-2 here. Because I think Marco should be able to get his tyres up to temperature before Maro Engel gets to him.
I think Schubert would have fancied a 1-2-3, to be quite honest, the pace that these cars are showing. And René Rast with that punctured tyre change and an all-round tyre change going on. But our race leader at the moment, still yet to make a stop, is Jack Aitken. He's out front ahead of Iron Changun, but of course they still have to come in. Our net race leader is the red, yellow and white BMW. But look at Maro Engel. He is steaming after that incident. He now wants to get past Marco Wittmann. He wants revenge on the BMWs. The first one coming now on the inside into turn 11. It's going to be a drag race towards turn 1. I wouldn't get in the way of Maro Engel if I were you, because you'd be going in. Marco Wittmann loses that position. He tries to come back on the outside, but I think Engel is through into second place.
But Marco has got his tyres up to temperature now, and he'll have slightly fresher tyres at the end of the race as well. But Maro has got the bit between his teeth, the normally very mild-mannered German. I think the old adrenaline might be up a little bit after that contact with René Rast. He wanted the win, and now it's gifted effectively first position once the pit stops are done to Sheldon van der Linde. It was going to be hard to keep behind anyway, wasn't it, with the pace that he's got, but at least he was able to recover it quickly, and at least it looks like there's no real damage to the Mercedes, but effectively he's going to be a net second, a net third Marco Wittmann, and look, a net fourth place for Thomas Preining. And after qualifying on Friday, he'd have absolutely bitten your hand off to be fighting for a podium on Sunday, wouldn't he?
Bad news for René Rast. He's going to have to visit the penalty box 3 times for that collision with Maro Engel. That is going to take him well out of points contention, I should think. So 3 times into the penalty box for René Rast. Marco Wittmann suddenly is being preoccupied with the Grello filling his mirrors. Thomas Preining, defending champion, car 91, putting the pressure onto the green BMW.
And by the way, don't discount Thomas Preining from the championship this year either, as Lucas Auer makes his way into the pits. Rears changed first, then front, and 6 can work on the car. And that includes the lollipop operator as well. There's confirmation of that penalty lap, or 3 of them through the penalty box on the exit to turn 1, cost him 15 seconds or so, René Rast. Right, Lucas Auer is going to be somewhere in the party, isn't he, as he comes out behind Thomas Preining and in front of Kelvin van der Linde, but probably not for long, because he's going to struggle to get those tyres up to temperature. You turn in, nothing happens with no tyre warmers, and sure enough, the Audi Sportsline Audi gets straight past. The other one's going to do the job on the next corner, I think, so Ricardo Feller will get past him as well. But this has been a good strategy from the team, because Lucas Auer was nowhere really. He was on the tail end of the points early on in the race. In fact, he was down to 17th at one point, but he's now well up effectively into the top 10. Got to keep Front Pereira behind. Then there's going to be the other Lamborghini of Mirko Bortolotti to deal with on this lap as well. And you can see just what a struggle it is to get the tyres up to temperature. Preining, meanwhile, you're right on board with him now. He's got a tremendous view of the BMW rear wing.
You said keep an eye on him. He's just put in the fastest lap of the race of 1:26.699 as Iron Changun peels off into the pits. There's Jack Aitken for his mandatory stop as well, surrendering the race lead. Lights up the rear tyres. But keep an eye on Thomas Preining, the fastest man on the track, closing in on Marco Wittmann.
Yeah, tremendous stop. Marco Wittmann's stop was really good as well. Schubert did a 6.3, but Jack Aitken and Emil Frey just had the second best pit stop of today, 6.9 seconds. So Jack coming forward as well from a lowly grid position. Andrew Guin going with him. They are going to be in the mix here for a top 6 finish, both of them. And out they come behind Sheldon van der Linde. So at the moment, they're effectively second and third. Vermeulen still to come into the pits. But again, it's going to be a case of trying to let as few cars past as possible where you get the tyres up to temperature. These two are both on the cold tyres, the Ferrari and the Porsche. Here comes Maro Engel. He could do without them being side by side, though, couldn't he? He's got to try and get past both of them in one go now. And look how much more grip he's got, but he's on an awkward line on the way into the next corner. He's dealt with the Porsche. He'll now deal with the Ferrari, but that was suboptimal, wasn't it, for Maro Engel?
Yeah, that's exactly what he didn't want in his pursuit of the leader. So Maro Engel finally getting past Jack Aitken, but it's Jack's right. He is in the race, and he's certainly, the team at Emil Frey have done a great job moving him up the order through the pit stop sequence. Look at Thomas Preining. These cars, the 5 cars, are running together for position, but Thomas Preining, the quickest of all of them, goes past his teammate with relative ease, but Marco Wittmann still up ahead of him, still trying to find his way past the BMW.
Thierry Vermeulen has stayed out. He's down at turn 1 at the moment, so he's the leader, but he's got to make a pit stop, so he's trying something different. A late pit stop in different weather conditions worked well yesterday for Arjen Guwen until he had his contact. Kelvin Valden gets at the inside now of Guwen, and then you've got Aitken still fending off Marco Wittmann, who is still fending off Thomas Preining, is he? Because Thomas looks up the inside and Marco Wittmann clips the right rear corner of the BMW. The Austrian and the German come together, but it's a very light tap. Sheldon van der Linde through in shot, second in the race, but really leading the race. Maro Engel and Jack Aitken. Wow, what a turnaround. If he can get a podium out of this, it'll be mighty. But here comes Thomas Preining, just throwing the Porsche down the inside of the BMW. The Ferrari goes wide as well. Preining will be fully committed.
They are fighting everybody.
Oh, contact! Out wide goes the Porsche. He just nicked the front right corner of the Ferrari, and it's cost him several positions. The 2 Audis will get past Preining as well. Wittmann is going to get ahead of Aitken going through turn 4. Aitken in the Ferrari, still getting the tyres out to temperature, now has the number 3 Abt Sportsline Audi of Kelvin van der Linde getting past him. Thomas Preining has got back ahead of Ricardo Feller, having regained one of those places. Brave stuff from Preining, almost paid off, but not quite.
What fantastic racing we're seeing here for race 10 of the season in DTM. The incident between Jack Aitken, Thomas Preining and Marco Wittmann under investigation, well, there's a surprise, isn't it? If they all survive this race, it will be a miracle. Jack Aitken clinging on for what he's worth. That great strategy from Emil Frey Racing, but now Thomas Preining applying the pressure into the Vidal chicane round the outside in the Porsche. Meanwhile, Aitken's teammate Thierry Vermeulen into the pits for his mandatory stop.
Yeah, he's just coming out actually, so he is going to rejoin right in the middle of that pack of Wittmann, Preining and Kelvin van der Linde, I think. Here he comes. The Ferrari will tuck in just in front of Marco Wittmann's green BMW, I think. But again, same trouble. This is going to be a sketchy lap, isn't it? He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 cars to deal with on cold tyres. And there is Jack Aitken forcing Preining out wide. And at the inside of them both goes Kelvin van der Linde. This race is working out nicely, isn't it, for Kelvin van der Linde after a really tricky start where he dropped down out of the top 10. Here comes Preining up the inside of the Ferrari of Aitken. Guwen, I think, nibbles the Ferrari as well. The 2 Porsches trying to work together. Jack Aitken caught in a sandwich from Pereira in the Lamborghini, and Mirko Bortolotti getting stuck in 2.
They're all pushing.
I don't think Thomas Preining is a fully signed up member to the Jack Aitken fan club right at this very moment in time. But it's proper battling this, isn't it? Proper DTM racing.
Oh, this is wonderful. This is why we love it. These cars so equal. I can't keep up with it. Who's in the lead? Oh, it's Sheldon van der Linde. I've forgotten. There's so many place changes. Maro Engel somehow still in second place despite doing a rotation. But this fight that rages on. Marco Wittmann, Thierry Vermeulen still showing in 4th place, but with those cold tyres. But this is an incredible fight. On board with Thomas Preining once again to the inside of Ricardo Feller in turn 11. Was there a bit of contact? There might have been. Another drag race out along towards turn 1. Now Thomas Preining going to have the line into turn 1. Thierry Vermeulen in front of them. He says, I'm warming my tyres, mate. That's why I'm weaving, no other reason.
That Porsche is so good into turn 11, isn't it? And that gives him the line to turn 1. And he's ahead of the Audi, Thomas Preining. And he's tried a couple of times to get down the inside of people there. He hasn't passed them at that final corner, but he's put them off the racing line. And it's worked really well. So Preining with an unusual move there, which works really well for the reigning champion, as that gets him ahead of Feller and back up into the top 5. Sheldon van der Linde leads. Maro Engel is second. Marco Wittmann is third. Kelvin van der Linde, after all of this, is in 4th place. What a turnaround. Remember, he's got that success ballast on board as well, 20 kilograms. He's doing really well. Thierry Vermeulen is in the mix as well in the Ferrari. from nowhere on the grid. So that late pit stop working well, and he'll have fresher tyres than everybody around him for the last few minutes of the race.
Souvenir hunters are going to have a fair bit of bodywork they can collect from around the circuit after this race. Awful lot of rubbing, brilliant stuff, but look at that lead now. Sheldon van der Linde with more than 4 seconds. Well, now it's dropped down to 3.3. So Maro Engel has pegged it back slightly in second place, but Sheldon van der Linde leading the way. This is Jack Aitken, wide-eyed. I'd be pretty wide-eyed with all that's going on around him. That was the contact with Thomas Preining. Somewhere in downtown Nürburgring. He's so far off the track, but rejoins. Looks like everybody has survived, but look how hard Thomas Preining is having to work to keep the car just pointing in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. What a battle this is. That was the contact that Preining wasn't happy about, but Aitken was trying to defend his position, not just from him, but also from Wittmann and the 2 Audis as well. What a scrap. While this has been going on, Mirko Bortolotti's back in 10th place now. He was 11th, but he's just got back ahead of Franck Pereira, usefully, his old teammate. So points update now, working out for Kelvin van der Linde, because he's up to 4th place. He's going to get 13 points. Yes, Maro Engel is outscoring him, but not by nearly as much now, thanks to that contact with René Rast. So Schubert are doing him a big favour here, because René Rast having the contact with Engel is what dropped him behind Sheldon van der Linde. And the other Schubert BMW, driven by his brother, was taking points away from Maro Engel. So Kelvin van der Linde, as it stands, I reckon, 140 points, 132 for Bortolotti, and 128 for Engel. So it'll be 12 between all 3 of them. Not quite as close as it was, but still mighty close. And guess what? We still haven't finished yet. So Sheldon van der Linde, 3.4 seconds clear of Maro Engel, who in turn is 4 seconds up the road from Marco Wittmann. So actually the top 3 are looking fairly settled now. It's looking like a 1-3 finish for Schubert BMW. Let's hear then from Sheldon van der Linde.
Okay, mate, so we have 11 laps to go, gap 3.0. We are lacking around 3/10 in sector 1.
So still not entirely happy, you know, lacking a bit of pace in the first half of the lap, sector 1, which takes in the first, around about the first 43 seconds of the lap. They're lapping at the moment, most of them in the high 126s to mid 127s, with the fuel load that have gone on the cars and tyres which have been used up a bit now. That is Engine Guin getting ahead of Ricardo Feller, isn't it? So that's for 7th place. Just got the back end of that. So the green Porsche with a daring move. Remember, he's come from 19th on the grid, the Turkish driver. He's due a good result, and he might be about to get one. And Feller is about to come under fire from Jack Aitken now in the Ferrari, which draws alongside. Can't quite find a way through there, and just tucks back in behind Ricardo's Audi for the time being. But great little ding-dong going on there as they come out of turn 7 now, head towards the turn 8 at Advenboga, flat out at 230 kilometres an hour through there. They get up to about 250 kilometres an hour before they hit the brakes and head up into the Vidal chicane. So there, Sheldon van der Linde, Maro Engel, Marco Wittmann looking good for the top 3, but 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, everybody else really having a huge fight out there.
Jack Aitken's regathered himself after the argy-bargy earlier on, and now turning the heat up on the Audi in front of him.
So Kelvin van der Linde is there in that mix with Max Powell coming under fire from Lucas Auer. Lucas Auer trying to go around the outside, and Max Powell, that will give him the inside line though. Clever stuff this for turn 2. He's going to put it off. The Austrian is going to get through, is he? Or is he? Because Max Bell comes back at him. Yes, he does finally get through. So Lucas Auer gaining the advantage there with some clever driving. And remember, he was late to pit as well, so he's going to have fresher tyres than those around him. And having been 17th at one point in this race, he's back in the points, back up to 13th now.
Don't be panicking, all you Kelvin van der Linde fans. He's not in 16th place. His transponder is playing up. Oh, a penalty lap for Jack Aitken for causing a collision with Thomas Preining. Had a feeling that might be incoming. Yes, so Kelvin van der Linde is not in 16th place. He is in 4th place, but he's got a dodgy transponder on his Audi, which means that the graphic is not showing exactly where he is.
So if Jack Aitken goes in a penalty lap now, that will put up Mirko Bortolotti another point. He'll move from 10th up to 9th. He'll get 7 points instead of 6th, and one single point might just make the difference at the end of this season. So Bortolotti has also got quite a bit of weight on that car. There are 85 kilograms of BOP balanced on that car. As we look at race laps for Wells in Africa, I've raced 32,200 euros plus now over the course of this season alone to help fund cleaner water in Wells in Gambia and Tanzania, and they are working together with the ADAC BWT, Best Water Technology, to do that at each and every round. Right, Jack Aitken will have had the news now that you've got to serve this run through the penalty box, and you have to do it next time round as well. You're going to get past the pit lane once, the pit wall once, before you have to serve the penalty. He'll drag it out as long as he can, but it will cost him 5 seconds. He's in 9th place at the moment, and 5 seconds, because they're all so tightly packed, I think will put him down just about be in the points. 15th or 16th he might be when he comes out of the penalty box. So expect some fireworks from Jack for the rest of the race. A real shame because he was having a good battle, but prining the contact with him, the stewards have decided that wasn't something that could be avoided. That was something that could be avoided, and he can't avoid a penalty. Right, rattling the curbs then are the BMWs of first Van der Linde and then Wittmann, first and third, Engel in between them. Great drive this as well from Ian Nguyen, from 19th on the grid up to 7th place, and really good strategy once again from Manthai EMA to get him up there.
Yes, that's a brilliant strategy. The strategy has certainly been very much a talking point in this race, with the grid properly shuffled around. But Sheldon Van der Linde has got to the front from that 4th row starting position on merit. He has worked hard. We're on board with Jack Aitken. Right, he's going to have to drop his speed down now. Into turn 1, he's going to have to go in nice and tight, reduce his speed to no more than 50 kilometers an hour through the penalty zone. All that is going to sting as he sees all those cars going past. He's going to have to do all the hard work, but he's only got just over 12.5 minutes in which to do it.
Yeah, he's joined in behind Max Pell, so he will be in 15th place. So really frustrating weekend. That's what might have been today, I think, for the team, having just missed out in qualifying and getting another lap in, which might have put him way up the grid compared to what he was. But it was one of those lottery-style qualifying sessions on a drying track. So, bad news for Jack Aitken, bad news for Emil Frey Racing, for one Ferrari at least. The other one's going well though, isn't it? Thierry Vermeulen, last to pit, that has worked. That's the strategy that's worked a couple of times for drivers this weekend, be it wet or dry. But it's certainly worked for Thierry Vermeulen, so he's up there now, battling for a top 5 finish, Thierry. And Vermeulen, his best result of the season is a 4th place at Zandvoort. That's his best result so far in a season and a half of DTM. On for a really good result after what's otherwise been a really frustrating weekend. He was off the road several times in the wet yesterday, wasn't he? He qualified 5th yesterday, but dropped out of the points in the end. It's gone the other way today.
Yes, Thierry Vermeulen started ahead of Anchan Nguyen, just for perspective, by only 1 row at the start of this race. So both of them have made great progress through the pack. It was on the back row that Anchan Nguyen started, and the penultimate row is where Thierry Vermeulen was. Right, there's Jack Aitken looking at the pack, and Max Powell working out how he's going to get past him with a little over 11 minutes plus 1 lap remaining of this race. Meanwhile, Sheldon Van der Linde is stretching his legs 2.754 ahead of Mauro Engel, so he's not exactly leaving him in his wake, but he's doing enough just to keep on top of it with 11 minutes remaining. Marco Wittmann there as well, so the 1, 2, 3 a little bit more spaced out at the moment, and then it's Kelvin Van der Linde and Thierry Vermeulen. There are just under 11 minutes remaining of the race. That is your race leader, Sheldon Van der Linde, just coming through, looking like he's got it under control at the moment. But Mauro Engel has taken another couple of tenths out of it. 3 tenths make that. So Mauro Engel is closing in on the lead. Can he do any more than that? 2.473 is the gap, but it is closing up between first and second. This could be set for a photo finish.
We've had some really big crowds over the 2024 season so far. It's grown even on big crowds from last year. And we've just had news through that this weekend at the Nürburgring, we've had 62,000 spectators come through the gates, which is absolutely brilliant. So massive thanks for their support. With the exception of the Motorsport Festival, that is the Norris Ring. That's our best crowd of the year. And look at this, Thierry Vermeulen is not satisfied with 5th. He wants 4th, so this is trouble for Kelvin Van der Linde. Fresher tyres on the Ferrari, remember. Look at that packed grandstand here, watching what's brilliant racing in the DTM at this venue, this 5th weekend of what's been yet another intriguing 2024 season. Let's hear then from Marco Wittmann, having a great weekend there in 3rd place.
pulling away from Kelvin, and we are getting closer to Engel. Let's keep pushing.
Yeah, it's within 3.6 seconds now, so yeah, tenth and a bit quicker, tenth and a half quicker through the first sector. He won't give up, will he? He never does, Marco Wittmann. So third, can it turn into second? 9 minutes or so, plus 1 lap to go in the race. And in the background, with Kelvin van der Linde and Thierry Vermeulen fighting, that will allow him to pull away further still.
Wittmann might be closing in on Mauro Engel, but Mauro Engel has taken 3/10 out of Sheldon van der Linde on the last lap. So the top 3 are compressing. Oh, that's exciting. Meanwhile, Arjen Nguyen is now the fastest man on the track. He's just recorded a 1:26.696, the fastest lap of the race. He's in 7th place at the moment. His teammate, Thomas Preining, is ahead of him.
Yeah, so that battle comes past the commentary box window, the one that you are looking at now for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th positions. Audi versus Ferrari versus Porsches, and here's Arjen Nguyen at the back of that queue.
Lap update, lap to the finish update.
8 laps to go, 8 laps to go. We think you can catch both cars in the front, but stay in order, stay in order.
Okay, so don't overtake Thomas, but you can both dispatch of the Audi and the Ferrari if you like. We think you can do it. Arjen asking how long to go. And that is just referencing the fact that Thomas Preining and Manthey EMA, the German-Australian team, have absolutely not given up on this championship yet. So they want Thomas to get as many points as he can, even if Arjen is a little bit quicker in this race.
We're very much celebrating team boss Olaf Manthey this weekend, supporting DTM Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany. They are enjoying their 400th race ever. The winner of the first ever Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany race was one Mr. Olaf Manthey. That was back in 1990 on April the 1st at Zolder. So we've been reflecting on that this weekend, and they too have been providing some outstanding racing here at this legendary circuit.
Yeah, home race as well, of course, for the team, based just a couple of kilometres away, if that, from the circuit entrance. Right, you're right on board with the defending champion, Thomas Preining, in the number 91 Porsche, former Porsche Carrera Cup Germany champion himself, the Austrian, getting ever closer to the tail of Thierry Vermeulen. Vermeulen has dropped back a bit, though, I would say, from the Audi of Kelvin van der Linde, who's doing great work here. Remember, he's got 20 kilograms of success ballast on board. As a little look at the inside into turn 1 for Preining. The door was left invitingly open by the young Dutch driver Thierry Vermeulen, who's done a great job here to be in 5th place in that Ferrari from 17th on the grid. So he's trying to get past van der Linde, but also keeping an eye on the mirrors. And the more he has to defend from the 2 Porsches, the better for the South African.
I have a feeling Arjen Nguyen's probably going to be a bit frustrated at having to hold station behind his teammate, Thomas Preining. I think he's got the quicker of the cars. He has a look to the outside. He's probably thinking, here, let me have a go at him, because I reckon I'm quicker.
He's also got fresher tyres, hasn't he? Because he was late to pit, wasn't he? So Arjen Nguyen is... understandably from the team, they've got to think about the Drivers' Championship. They also want their 2 cars to score as many points as possible for the Teams' Championship. They're coming into your shot now, heading towards the final turn of this lap, is Sheldon van der Linde. The gap, 2.4 seconds at the end of the last lap to Mauro Engel, who led the first half of the race, and Marco Wittmann is 3.4 seconds behind the Mercedes driver. Mercedes still without a win in 2024. Mauro Engel won't give up yet either, though. Just under 6 minutes to go, plus 1 lap, and this is the battle for 5th, 6th and 7th positions. And the 2 Porsches look quicker than the Ferrari at this stage of the race. If one gets past him, they might both get past him, Brian, because that bright green machine of Arjen Nguyen is going to glue itself to the rear wing of Preining. Preining makes the move. It'll be an 8-wheel Porsche coming through.
Yeah, you won't miss those in a crowd, will you? They glow in the dark. Thierry Vermeulen is going to feel like he's been bullied by Manthey EMA as they're queuing up to pass him behind. But they're running out of time. We're getting in towards the last 5 minutes plus 1 lap of this race. We're fighting over not so much the scraps, but certainly not over podium positions at the moment. Kelvin van der Linde, yesterday's winner, who has that 20 kilos of success ballast on board, doing a sterling job holding on to that 4th place ahead of them. Sheldon van der Linde, Mauro Engel, Marco Wittmann. That's your 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, and if it stays like this again, 12 points there will be between the top 3 in the championship, with Kelvin van der Linde having his nose in front of Mirko Bortolotti and also of Mauro Engel. Mauro still 2.4 seconds back. He was quicker than Sheldon van der Linde on the last lap, but only by 0.05 of a second. But 2.5 tenths quicker than both of them was Marco Wittmann. So Marco is still on a charge, still on a mission, trying to catch up the top two. But time is now running out. 4.5 minutes left on the clock as the leaders go past us across the start-finish line. You're right on board with Thomas Preining in 6th place. But is he close enough to find a gap on the way into turn 1 on Thierry Vermeulen? I'd say probably not is the answer. And I think you're right about Ian Junggu, he's just sitting there, isn't he? He does feel like he's maybe the quicker of the two Porsches at the moment, but he has been told to sit where he is and stay behind the Austrian.
He's still got the fastest lap of the race on the board, but yes, he's been told to hold station, so that's what he's doing. He's showing himself just to the left and the right, going, I'm still here. And there's the race leader. There's second, René Rast. Well, he's a lap down, unfortunately, but then Marco Wittmann. So BMW 1-3 with a Mercedes in the middle. And there is the 3rd place, Marco Wittmann. The big crowd being thoroughly entertained here at the Nürburgring in this round 5, race 10 of a 16-race season in the 2024 DTM.
Once again, the race has kind of fallen away from Ricardo Feller, hasn't it? Like it did yesterday. Good start yesterday. And he got into the top 5 yesterday and then just faded away in the wet. He's struggling with the grip of the car. And today, great grid, front row, all going pretty well in the first half of the race. But since the pit stop window, it's just faded away. And the second of the Audis back in 8th place. Really disappointing season for the Swiss driver. His 3rd year of DTM, but he was 3rd in the championship and had the chance of being champion going into the finale at Hockenheim last season. René Rast had a nightmare weekend. Great weekend at Nürburgring, but nightmare weekend here. An 11th place finish yesterday. No points in this race today. He was 3rd in the championship coming into the weekend. Thomas Preining is going to pick up 10 points, so will be only 4 points behind him now for 4th and 5th in the championship. If it stays like this, Preining at the moment in 6th place. I think, though, he's running out of options here. He's actually fallen back away from Vermeulen, and that's given Vermeulen licence to go on the attack again to try and wrestle that 4th place away from Kelvin van der Linde. The Ferrari looks a little bit quicker at the moment.
Yes, we can see that he's been closing in on him, just closing in on the car in front. But, of course, catching is one thing. There is that extra weight on the Audi, he'll be aware of that, but Thierry Vermeulen looking for a good score here. He doesn't want to leave too many gaps on the inside, though, because Thomas Preining isn't that far back and is ready to jump.
Yes, indeed. So, Vermeulen looking to equal his best results in the championships so far. He's had a tough few weeks as well. We would have hoped for a lot more success at his home race at Zandvoort than he got. And the Nürburgring didn't exactly work out fully for Vermeulen either. He's got the 1 championship point on the Sunday with a 15th place finish. His teammate Jack Aitken 2 laps ago got ahead of Max Powell, but only back up to 13th place, although he has caught up to Lucas Auer. Lucas Auer is only just behind Lucas Stoltz. Lucas Stoltz, the forgotten man of this race, after that contact at turn 1, wasn't it? Which ruined his day, really, having been 4th on the grid. And Lucas Stoltz back in 11th place currently, but with work to do to even just stay in that position. Right, the gap from 1st to 2nd stays at just under 2.5 seconds. The gap from 2nd to 3rd is just over 3 seconds now. Again, slightly the quicker of the two. Engel and Wittmann was Wittmann, but only by a 10th or so. So I think Engel is controlling things now as we get to hear from Kelvin van der Linde under pressure.
I'm trying to push him into Preining because he starts looking in his mirror, so I'm trying to just back him up a little bit.
High-speed chess.
You did amazing in Zandvoort, man. You know exactly how to do it. You know how to do it.
I find that fascinating. Our drivers, not just it's about the speed and driving a car quickly, it's about trying to outsmart the other drivers. And Kelvin van der Linde deliberately not trying to get away from Vermeulen, trying to back him up into the Porsche, because he's saying, well, as soon as that happens, Vermeulen starts to defend, and that actually helps me out. So that is somebody with a lot of experience talking on the team radio.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. A real insight into what's going on. He's looking chilled as anything in the seat of that car, isn't he? And that's the view as he looks back at Thierry Vermeulen. He's up towards turn 11 at the moment. We've got 20 seconds of timed racing remaining. So I think the leader's going to cross the line before the clock strikes 0, which means it will be 2 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, they're both good on the brakes into the chicane, weren't they? Both Vermeulen and Preining absolutely throwing it in there, but they lost the momentum going out of the corner. And van der Linde's plan has worked because he's pulled a little bit clear now of this scrap. So Vermeulen going back into defensive mode now to try to hang on to this 5th place. You're right on board with Preining in 6th. Look how he dives to the inside and blocks and then goes back, and then the door opens and through goes Preining, And Vermeulen's going to get back at the inside, though, on the way into the left-hander at turn 2. Still side by side. We've been here before, Thomas. Thomas on the outside, trying to come through, trying to get the inside line for turn 4. He hasn't given up just yet, but I think the Ferrari is far enough ahead. I spoke too soon. Here comes Thomas Priding down the inside. Here comes Yen Guan, who's maybe going to get past the pair of them. Thanks very much, he says. He dives past Priding, but he might have to give that place back just because the team would want him to. Vermeulen done by both Porsches who work together. Well, not really working together. It was Priding forcing Vermeulen out wide and just driving past the pair of them was Guan. So Guan goes up into 5th place now. But given the championship situation, I think there might be a point at which you might need to let the yellow Porsche back ahead of him. But can he do it without letting the Ferrari back through as well? That's going to be tricky.
He'll say it's impossible, mate. Can't be done. He picked his time, didn't he? Yen Guan. He waited. He knew they were going to be fighting each other. He knew they were probably going to go wide. And you just saw him there waiting. And then when he saw the moment, he was through. Great racing from the driver that we've seen in Porsche 6 Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Motor 1 Super Cup over the years. Really, really good stuff. Finally showing the kind of form we knew he could here at the Nürburgring. He's been dialed in all weekend. And here you see him moving past the Ferrari and indeed his teammate.
Yeah, I mean, I think he deserves a good result, doesn't he? He's had a lot of things go wrong in the first half of the season. He'll be on the radio to the team saying, well, I know you told me to stay behind, but they're going to drive off the road. I'm going to have to come past him. I can't just stand on the brakes. So Guan up to 5th, on course for his best result of 2024. His previous best being an 8th place finish in round 2 at the Nürburgring. He was on for a good result yesterday until he just slipped on cold tyres and had that contact with Nicky Tim as well. So things definitely going the right way, even though yesterday was frustrating for the Turkish driver, the former Porsche Carrera Cup France champion. He now heads into the right-hander at turn 5. Gap up to 2.8 seconds between the top two, van der Linde and Engel. Engel 2.6 seconds clear of Wittmann. So Wittmann has been catching him, but not by an enormous rate of knots, and there's only a lap and a quarter to go now as Sheldon van der Linde makes his way into the chicane, accelerates in the BMW and heads now towards the 11th turn, the final turn. And we are on the final lap. He comes out of the right-hander. This has been a beautiful drive from Sheldon van der Linde, who wins from 9th on the grid. Brilliant stuff.
Let's go! Oh, I'm so proud of you boys. That is how we bounce back. Yes! Amazing. Love you boys. Oh my word. That was needed.
I think he's quite happy.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
Yes.
As you said, that's how we bounce back. Fucking hell, man. In German, we would say, der Knoten ist geplatzt. Good job there, man.
What a drive. Apologies again for the slightly colourful language. Yes, sorry, he was 10th on the grid, not 9th. He qualified 9th, but Pereira got put back behind him, didn't he? So 10th to 1st. And he did most of that in the first few laps of the race. I think there might be some donuts being done again there. We just got the back end of it from Kelvin van der Linde, who lit up the tyres. There's Torsten Schubert, the team boss. He's had some real highs and lows so far this year with that team. But that's a really good day, a first and a third. They probably didn't expect that at the start of the weekend when they were struggling on Friday. Sheldon van der Linde wins round 10 of DTM 2024 from the 5th row of the grid. Maro Engel was leading the first half of the race, but René Rast, Sheldon van der Linde's teammate, coming out on cold tyres as Maro Engel tried to get around the outside of him as René Rast came out of the pits. There was contact. That sent Engel into a spin. It caused Rast to get a 3 runs through the penalty box, and Engel was quickly recovered, but then lost his chance to win the race. It was already going to be a big battle with Sheldon van der Linde, but he'll be very frustrated to get another second-place finish, Maro Engel. Hasn't quite got that win yet. It's 4 second-place finishes now, but it is 3 podiums on the trot, and he has outscored his 2 closest championship rivals. So bittersweet result, I would suggest, for Maro Engel. Marco Wittmann will be delighted to be coming home in 3rd place. A 3rd and a 6th for Marco. That has ended up, all told, being his best weekend of the season in terms of 2 good results. He had the win, of course, and the 7th at Zandvoort, but a 3rd and a 6th is a really good, solid weekend. And again, a bit unexpected after a tough start to the weekend. He was not happy with the BMW, the BOP that he had on the car at the start of the weekend, but it has worked out really well today with a 1-3 for BMW. And it is Sheldon van der Linde that takes the 100th DTM victory for the brand for BMW in race 2 here at the Nürburgring. Kelvin van der Linde, though, will be well chuffed with 4th place, given he was out of the top 10 in the first lap of the race, and has managed, with all that success ballast on board, to get 4th to add to the win from yesterday. And well done, Arjen Guwen, 5th place, finally a good result. Thomas Preining 6th, battling still to try and defend his championship title. And Sheldon van der Linde climbs aboard his steed and will now raise his arms in joy. And the crowd and the fans and his team will cheer him on. And there is his big brother, Kelvin. Well, they had a 1-2 finish here a few years ago, and they've both won a race each here at the Nürburgring this weekend. The Nürburgring, surely they've got to twin that with one of the towns in South Africa. They love this place, Brian.
Yes, we haven't had back-to-back winners this year, but we've had back-to-back from the same family winning this year. Van der Linde yesterday, Van der Linde today, and of course the 100th win for BMW. Their first win took place back in 1984 at Zolder. It was Harold Gross who won in that particular occasion in a BMW 635 CSI. Marco Wittmann was responsible for 19 BMW victories, the most of any driver for BMW. Sheldon has taken 5, make that 6 for BMW, while just 2 of René Rast's 27 total wins have come during his time at BMW. There will be celebrations through the night of that one, and BMW, what a phenomenal job. The 100th win. Thomas Preining has had a half-second time penalty awarded to replace a change of position instruction. So half a second has been awarded to Thomas Preining.
So that's dropped him behind Vermeulen, hasn't it? Down to 7th place. So Thierry Vermeulen, 6th place from 17th on the grid. Thomas Preining in 7th place, which is where he finished yesterday. 2 battling 7th place finishes. Ricardo Feller 8th. Mirko Bortolotti 9th. Franck Pereira in 10th place. And Kelvin van der Linde walking away from the Nürburgring as the championship leader with 6 races and 3 weekends to go. He picked up a 4th place and 13 points. Mirko Bortolotti in the end was 9th and picked up 7 points. And Maro Engel for 2nd got 20 points. So I reckon it's 140 for van der Linde, 133 for Bortolotti and 128 for Maro Engel. There then confirmation of the top 10 after a fantastic day's racing. Sheldon van der Linde, Maro Engel and Marco Wittmann the top 3. They'll be on the podium. Kelvin van der Linde 4th on the championship lead. Arjen Guwen, Thierry Vermeulen, Thomas Preining, Ricardo Feller, Mirko Bortolotti and Franck Pereira round out the top 10 for race 2, round 10 of the championship here at the Nürburgring. And then 11th was Stoltz, 12th Auer, 13th Aitken, 14th Powell, 15th for Bendor. He gets his 3rd championship point of the season. Luca Engsler and René Rast, the other finishers, in 16th and 17th. Right, a great race, and it is time now to get some reaction down in the pit lane, and let's catch up with Verena.
And I've got the winner here. Congratulations, Sheldon. I mean, this really is a Van der Linde weekend. Yesterday was your brother, today was you. So how excited are you? It's your first podium, your first win this season.
Yeah, I can't believe it, man. It's been such a roller coaster until now. This morning I had my head in my hands, thinking after qualifying, what more do I need to do? The car was super fast the whole weekend. Yesterday we had trouble with the brakes as well, so I made a mistake this morning, went into the wall, lost ABS. And then to bounce back like this, I said to the guys, I don't know what more we should do, and this is the sweetest of them all. I love it so much.
Well, you did a phenomenal job. Congratulations, and enjoy the moment up there. Back to you.
Thanks very much, Verena. Yeah, motorsport can have you in the doldrums, but when you get the highs, and they don't come along all that often at this level, it can really make up for it, and that has really made up for it for Sheldon van der Linde. He's been having a steady season, but he hasn't had a podium so far this year. 4th place in the first round at Oschersleben was his best. Lots of top 6 finishes, points in every round of the championship. But a much-needed win, a first one since the Norris Ring last year. Time then for the podium celebrations. Marco Wittmann really pleased with his work, I would imagine. 3rd place, Schubert with a 1-3, and Brian saying 100 BMW wins. 9 of them now have come from Schubert Motorsport, so they're doing a great job. Maro Engel, I'd say still is going to be a bit disappointed about that, but it's still an excellent drive, an excellent result, and more useful championship points scored. And Sheldon van der Linde is about to celebrate his first win for more than a year since the Nürburgring last year. His 96th start in the DTM brings about his 6th race victory. The 2022 champion will celebrate, and he'll now listen very proudly in a few moments' time to the South African national anthem, which has been on standby after it was played yesterday for his brother. And there is Thorsten Schubert, all smiles for the Schubert Motorsport team. They've had a great day, but now it is time for the national anthem. Once again, the South African national anthem plays, reverberates around the arena here at the Nürburgring. I can see about 100 metres from the commentary box, the bright red race suit of Sheldon van der Linde on the top step of the podium. A huge crowd gathered around. Matthias Zink from Scheffler is going to present the winning trophy to the teammate of the Scheffler back, Marco Wittmann, and hoisting the trophy aloft with a huge smile on his face. That's the smile we've become used to of Sheldon van der Linde. We've not seen it for a while, but he's smiling from ear to ear today with that victory. Django Azil is back with the DTM this weekend and here to present trophies this time. And he's going to present the second place trophy to Maro Engel, who still smiles. Well, his daughter said to him before the race weekend, "You've got to get a podium, Dad, or I'm not going to speak to you." Basically, he's got 2 now, so he's done his job as a dad. And a great weekend for Maro Engel. And Marco Wittmann, super weekend as well. 6th yesterday from the middle of the grid. And another fighting performance today. Started 3rd, dropped to 4th initially, but he's got another podium to his credit. And that, for Marco Wittmann, is podium number 46 in the DTM. And Thorsten Schubert is now presented with the trophy for the winning team. As Schubert Motorsport are the team that take BMW to 100 DTM victories. They will all now pose on the top step of the podium. And then, especially as it's Sunday, and there's nothing else to worry about for the rest of the weekend for them now, other than press conferences and interviews, they will unleash the champagne. Thorsten, you need to move quicker than that because they're about to get blasted. Oh, they've been kind to him. They're headed for all the team members down there who absolutely get it from Sheldon van der Linde. And they don't care. They've earned this. They'll, I say cool down. It's not that hot, but 17 degrees is a lot hotter than it was yesterday, that's for sure. And Sheldon van der Linde and his team principals celebrate a terrific win and a first of the season. And when you've had to wait a while, and Sheldon is accustomed to winning, then those victories feel even better. And also, from 10th on the grid, fantastic stuff. He might have been on pole position. He certainly would have been at the front of the grid, but for what he explained there was a brake issue which sent him off the road at the final turn in qualifying. But it didn't matter. He turned it all around with a mega first couple of laps to go from 9th to 2nd. And here's what we missed while we were enjoying Sheldon on his slowdown lap. His brother, for the 2nd time running, sending it down in front of the grandstands at turn 1 for some donut celebrations, because he is delighted, I'd imagine, to walk away this weekend with a win yesterday, but that 4th place today will feel pretty good as well, given the circumstances. And Kelvin van der Linde, who joined the championship in 2021, fought for the championship title in that first season, had a tough 2022. Things got better last year. Things have got really good in his 4th season in 2024, because with 3 weekends to go, he leads the championship standings by 7 points from Mirko Bortolotti. Maro Engel closing up, 12 points adrift in 3rd. And look at that, Sheldon van der Linde, a win has boosted him up from 9th to 4th in the championship on 100 points now. And it shows what a difference a good race and a good weekend can make, Brian, in what's a hugely competitive season.
Yes, and you only need to take a look back at that race and see how close it was. You realise that this is going to go all the way down to the wire.
Absolutely right. Right, let's get some more reaction with the drivers and down with Verena.
And I'm here with a man who's 3rd in the championship. That's Maro Engel. Congratulations to a fantastic podium, a 2nd place. But I guess you were going for victory, and then there was the incidents with René Rast, so I guess a little bit disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, we are happy about P2, and we don't We don't think about P1. I think it's clear what happened, and it's like this. Can't go back and change it. So we're happy with the points for P2 and another podium, which is great. Big thanks to Mercedes-AMG Team Windward. They gave me a fantastic car, and Mercedes-AMG has been waiting for a win since a long time. So we were close today. We'll try again next time.
You've got a few more times to do that, so obviously best of luck for the next weekend then to hopefully get your win. But I guess this is a way it can continue. I mean, you're third in the championship, you're collecting podiums and points, so that's good.
Yeah, we're pushing for sure. You know, we're going to keep pushing and try and score as many points as possible to be there at the end. And yeah, motivated. I think we have a strong car, strong team. So looking forward to the remaining 3 rounds.
Did you speak to your daughter yet?
Not yet, no. But she did say P1 or P2 before the race. So I'm lucky I didn't drop further down due to the incident than P2. But yeah, would have loved to bring home a win. But anyway, it'll be another day.
Absolutely, next time. Thank you so much, Maro. Back to you.
Yeah, very sporting, positive attitude still from Maro Engel. So daughter's demands are getting higher and higher now. You've got to get on the podium for race 1, she says. Now you've got to get first or second, Dad. And next time, he's going to have to get the win. And if he gets a win, I don't know what she's going to be. Oh, the championship, I suppose. Go get the championship will be the next demand. So he's been mentored on here by his young daughter. It's been a fantastic weekend. We'll next head to the Saxon Ring in a few weeks' time, and that will be mega as well. From Brian Oliver and me, Chris Hartley, though, that's it from the commentary box. Let's go back down to Verena Vries.
And I've got Marco Wittmann here, and from P3 to 3rd place. So you have a smile in your face. I guess you're happy with that, another podium?
Yeah, definitely. There were quite some hard fights out there, to be honest, especially at the opening stage. I was a bit unlucky because Ricciardo pushed me wide where I was already at the start, almost on P2. And this actually cost me 2 places where Ricciardo and also Sheldon passed by. From there, I had some good fights, but I have to admit also I didn't have the pace today to really fight against Sheldon and Maro. They were always a tiny bit faster. I struggled a little bit with the balance of the car, but all in all, I'm happy. I mean, still with the balance deficit, still to finish on the podium, I'm fairly happy. So yeah, was a pretty good race day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Marco. The next interviewer is waiting for you. And yeah, what a phenomenal race weekend here at the Nürburgring. We had so much action. We lost 2 cars today, I think. We saw so many brilliant maneuvers, so much action, and it can repeat like this. We're looking forward to the next race weekend. And yeah, everyone, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And now here are the highlights. Enjoy. See you. Bye-bye.
It's over.